Well, joining me now with more on President Xi's visit to Latin America is Robert Sicina. He's a professor in the Department of International Business at American University right here in Washington. Thanks for joining us.
Pleasure to be here.
Latin America is often considered America's backyard, a place where it has unrivaled influence. So will this visit by President Xi be seen as something of a challenge to the United States?
Well, it's a great question, Anand. Let me start off by saying that to talk about backyards in this day and age is a great anachronism. I mean, it brings back memories of the Monroe Doctrine, and if my math is right, that's going to be 190 years old in December.
But that's what it's referred to as at times.
It may be, but I don't think anybody in this globalized world truly has a backyard. And I think that this visit fundamentally is about the new leadership in China setting out their agenda against the priorities that they see. I always enjoy watching new leadership set their agenda in the first 90 and 180 days of their office, because it kind of shows whether they've really got the problems nailed or not. And in this case, I think they do. The problems and the opportunity. I think the problem and the challenge is to continue China's growth. And that's going to be a lot harder in the next 10 years than it has been in the last 10 years. And because the economy is much bigger, and it's going to require access to new markets and new resources. So that agenda is relatively clear, and I think is spot on. I think that there's also a broader opportunity here at play. I think this decade is a watershed decade, not only for China, but for the world. I think we're in the midst of perhaps one of the greatest transitions of economic and political power in the history of the world. And that transition is from north to south and west to east. And China is at the epicenter of the receiving end of that economic and political power. It's a fabulous opportunity, not just for China, but for the world. And how China deals with that, but also how the OECD countries, how the United States, how Europe deals with that.
Okay, let me ask you that question. Will it be seen as a fabulous opportunity in Washington?
One can only hope. It's going to be a challenge. Again, a great question. Here's why. In the history of mankind, there's only been one time in the history that such a transition has taken place peacefully. And that was in the 20th century from Europe, Western Europe, to the United States. And it happened peacefully for all kinds of different reasons related to the United States bailing out Europe and because of their internal problems. This time, I think it's going to be more challenging. And I think it's going to be very tough for the United States to give up that economic and political power. On the other hand, I think it's also going to be very tough for China to step up and assume that power in a responsible way so that the world will embrace and accept China as the leader that it can and should be.
Okay, Professor, we're going to have to leave it there. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.